for a subcontractor at Avista called C+C. We're a marketing company out of Seattle. We've done work with PSC for about the last 15 years on utility rebates, and over the last almost 3/4 of a decade or so, we've been doing work with PSC, Seattle City Lights, Snow PUD, Tacoma PUD on these exact rebate programs over on the west side. So if you know anybody over there, they're probably very familiar with these programs. So I'm your local rep. I live just up by Rogers High School. I have 4 years of lighting control design experience, so the HVAC world is new to me, but I'm here to help you with the program. You guys are obviously the experts on what you do, but I can help you with any rebate questions, any questions about going through, I think Glacier has a portal that you're going through, so any questions with that if you have problems. And then Energy Solutions is the third-party company that Avista hired that runs this program. They have been doing this for almost 2 decades, so they have all of the background knowledge, all of the technology to be able to do this without, hiring somebody to reinvent the wheel that's already ready to go. So I just have some program information for you, why things are changing, why Avista is doing things a new way, how the program works, and how we hope it will function over here like it's done on the west side and be a benefit to you for your business and customers for saving energy. So please feel free to interrupt if you have any questions. This is just very informal, and the sheet that I handed you is the quick reference guide, and that's the basics for all of the rebates. I can send you later on. There's a qualified products list that is 4 gigantic Excel spreadsheets of all of the products that are qualified for the program. You can filter them by manufacturer, efficiency rating, whatever you might like to use. And those are updated quarterly by Energy Solutions as things become eligible for the program or might drop off. So you can also search those if you have the Iris, if you have an Iris login, but we can always keep you updated with those qualified product lists.
Sorry, I'll send that to you.
The shadow knows.
Of the spreadsheet.
Yeah, aliens are coming.
Yeah.
All manufacturers.
We've made contact.
That might be a product that you don't offer that you could get elsewhere, so I'll get back to you guys tomorrow.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
I'll send you that list as well. Appreciate it.
So we're just going to kind of do a program overview, give you an idea of where we're at with our new program. So utilities sell energy, but obviously they need to sell reliable energy, which means they need more to go around. And most of them these days, especially in Washington, it's kind of going from the coast in is how things are progressing, is through incentive programs, rebate programs to lower usage. Distributors, we hope, will sell energy efficient products, hopefully at a lower price and with an instant discount in this program to be able to lower bid cost. And then contractors install that product, and Avista strongly encourages, they can't by law require, but they strongly encourage that the rebate is passed through to the customer. And part of your incentive to pass that on to the customer can be that they can see all of this information on Avista's website. Because the customers used to file those rebates, and so now they go and look, and it tells them to go to a distributor or have their contractor go to a distributor who's participating in these programs to get their rebates. So they know that they can't file for it, and this information, actually that QRG that's in front of you, is provided on the website to show customers what kind of a discount they're hopefully getting.
What was the purpose of them not being able to go through you guys anymore?
That's actually part of what I talk about on my next slide. I think it's on the next one. Yeah. So why are we here? Why is this program designed the way that it is? So midstream programs mean that instead of Avista talking to 1,000 customers, we talk to 10 distributors who talk to 100 customers who 100 contractors who talk to 1,000 customers. And the experience with the midstream programs on the west side is that when the information and the savings are higher in the process, there are better savings and return on investment for the customer, because the problem was that a lot of customers were not filing for those rebates because they didn't want to learn about it, they didn't want to figure out what they had to do. So if that information is just presented to them as having already been done by the distributor, then they don't have to worry about it, and they're more likely to request energy efficient equipment because they don't have to do anything. So, and it's, the distributors and the contractors already know the information or are on top of the information as things change and new equipment comes out. So it's more efficient to have them do it instead of each customer having to learn about it and figure out how to file for the rebate on their own. And the difference on the west side has been tangible. More rebates have been filed since these programs have started than previously when it was up to the customer to do it. And then as far as program eligibility, Avista's territory looks like an ink blot, Rorschach, whatever you might like. It's a little bit easier on the west side to determine eligibility because utilities, for the most part over there, are responsible for an entire zip code. So Avista eligibility has to go down to the address level, which can be really fun sometimes. If you zoom into a particular spot in the valley or other places in town, you have Vera, Inland, and Avista all in the same map. So the first and most important question you can ask before seeing if a customer is eligible for a rebate on this program is if they are an Avista electric or gas customer, depending on which equipment you're looking at and which rebate you're hoping to give them. So it happens all the time. You go through the rebate spiel, you can get this discount, and then you find out that their address is not in Avista territory. So as far as I'm aware, Inland Power may have in-house rebates, but they don't do anything on this scale. And then I'm not sure about Vera, but
They do as well.
They do.
Yeah, smaller amounts.
yeah, much smaller. Yeah, since Avista is a larger.
Yeah.
A larger entity, so.
And if you guys are out there, make sure you're looking at that as well, because like my house, for example, I would be able to qualify for the furnace one, but I wouldn't be able to qualify for the heat pump one because Vera provides mine. So yeah, if it's an electric rebate, Avista has to be supplying that electric power to qualify for it.
Correct, yeah. And that's usually the biggest stumbling block contractors, distributors run into, is that you don't confirm the address beforehand, and then of course you have that problem. So the best way you can confirm it is to look at a copy of a customer's bill, or get their account number, whatever that may be. Just make sure that they're an Avista customer for whatever rebate it is that you're proposing. And then commercial installations have no limit in this program, so you can have as many devices as you want at a commercial address. Different from the west side, Avista actually allows 2 rebates per address for heat pump water heaters and for HVAC. So you can do both, which on the west side they don't allow. So this is a little bit more lenient, which is nice. More can be covered. And then as far as incentives, this is exactly what you have in front of you, just broken out slide by slide. See, you wanted to record me with all of my great diction here. The heat pump incentives for SEER, I think this is backwards. Why does this look backwards? I think this ended up backwards. Anyway. If a unit is dual rated, it will use the SEER and HSPF ratings, not the SEER 2 and HSPF 2 ratings. Just something to keep in mind if you're looking at those units. I don't know if and when that's going to change based on when they stop, doing the dual rate, the single ratings. It's up to manufacturers, which can make things interesting. But just remember that if it's dual rated, it will use the older set of ratings. Let's see. The other thing to keep in mind is that most of the rebates are split by commercial and residential. Some rebates are split by state, and the easiest explanation I can give you there is that each state commission does it's on previous slide here. Hang on just one second. State Commission calculates the standards of cost effectiveness. Those have nothing to do with code, and they have nothing to do with the price of electricity. It is a completely arbitrary calculation that each state comes up with, and that is what determines if rebates are different according to state. That's the only explanation that I was given that was made any sense. So that's the only, when you see rebates that are different by state, that's why, but it's just something completely arbitrary that the commission decides. I tried to make sense of it for weeks. And then I believe there's nothing really complex about the hybrid heat pump water heater incentives. Of course, the incentive is based on code, so if you're replacing something older, it's going to be a larger incentive than if you're replacing something newer, because the code was more lenient way back when. Yes?
On the Excel sheet that has the actual model numbers, and then there's a dollar incentive amount on those as well. One of the questions that was asked to me is, we'll just talk about LG because that's what was asked. But on LG, it gives a model number for an indoor head unit, and then it gives a dollar amount for that. But when I'm looking at this, it says that it's customer pass-through incentive dollar amount per outdoor system. So their question is if I have a ductless heat pump that has one outdoor unit but has 4 or 5 indoor units, do I get that incentive on every one of those indoor units, or is it a one-time incentive for that outdoor unit only?
I am not sure, so I will confirm that.
Okay. Because that makes a world of difference, right? Yeah. I mean, it adds
One
a lot.
time on that system, whether you have 1 head or 6 heads.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
That
how
would
I
be my
would,
assumption too.
that's how I would see it as well, but the way it looks would make you maybe believe that you could get however many indoor heads. And so, yeah,
Yeah, I'll confirm that.
you're awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll try to shut off because I talk a lot. So
No, hey,
I could derail
it
us.
helps me learn as much as it helps you confirm
And you
things,
say that
so. Gas water heaters are for residential only, and they're split by state with no difference for project type. That's the only one that's really that simple. So yeah, that's all on your QRG, and like we were talking about, we can get you the qualified products lists. Those will really help you look at things. And on those qualified products lists, you won't have to guess about what the incentive is for each product that's listed. It shows you exactly what the incentive is going to be. And once I can confirm that question, it will make a little even more sense. So one of the reasons that heat pump water heaters and heat pumps are also so sought after just for new construction is meeting the new code requirements, and those are, based on those credits. And so if you have to meet 4 credits for a new home, a heat pump water heater and a heat pump are a really easy way to do that quickly. As you can see, they are worth quite a bit. And then as far as information to collect, utilities have to prove that they provided incentives for these efficient pieces of equipment, and they have to prove that they're installed in their territory. So the information on the left-hand side is required for every installation to be collected. Again, that's where the address comes in handy to make sure that you're talking to a eligible customer. And then the only optional data that is technically required is only for retrofit heat pumps is that existing heating type being replaced. That's the only time you have to verify that existing heating type. And then, but yeah, we can provide you with a rebates form, either in digital or physical form, that you can go out in the field with, so that you have somewhere to put all that information and you know exactly what you're looking for. And we can give that to you through Glacier, or I have some with me today that I can provide as well, so that we have that information right in front of you and you know that you're not missing anything. So when you log into the portal, you don't go, oh, look at all this information I don't have. I have heard from my West Side colleagues that one of the biggest issues that distributors run into sometimes is not being able to get complete information from their contractors. So we hope that you'll be able to have all of that information right in front of you.
Yeah, over that.
That sounds like a knowing voice. And then just for sales, if you ever have problems selling this type of equipment, if you're not familiar with it, if you want help with it, we do have studies from Energy Star that prove, how are very illustrative for how customers view value when they're presented with 2 options versus 3, or it's presented from the lower to the higher, higher to the lower on how people perceive value. Energy Solutions also does have pricing strategies. If you ever need help with that, we know that most people don't, but some contractors are brand new to this and have no idea how to sell energy efficient equipment. So
I know there's some controversy behind these, and they don't always work as great as they sound, but do you guys by chance have an op cost calculator or something available to where a homeowner can say, this is my existing system, here's what they're proposing, and here's what an average benefit or savings would be in that mock application?
you know, I'm not sure if Energy Solutions has that, but I can definitely ask.
Okay.
First question we always ask.
Yeah, it's,
What's it gonna save me?
right, and it's, you know, it's relevant to that mocked up scenario, but it gives them an idea, you know?
I will definitely ask. I don't think anyone has asked that question yet.
Thank you.
And then there are additional HVAC and water heating incentive offerings being offered through Avista, just that aren't handled through this program. There are commercial size things that you can go directly through Energy Solutions with. They handle those directly. You can ask Zach about those. And then just a few other things that are just offered through different programs that Avista has that Energy Solutions handles for them. So if you have any questions about things like this, you can get in contact with them and they can give you more specific stuff. It's just not handled directly through this, this specific program. So there is large commercial available. That's usually the one that people ask about the most if you have any questions about that. But that is the basics. Any questions right offhand?
Got it.
Not yet.
So, scenario, you put a furnace in, new construction, project takes a year and a half, cause they do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put the heat pump in, let's say it's dual fuel, right, you put the heat pump in, after the fact. When are you wanting to do the rebate? Do you want to do the furnace rebate, even though it's not running, right, let's say? You wanna do the furnace rebate at the time of installation, then do the heat pump rebate a year and a half later?
Rebate is usually at time of sale. When it goes into the contractor's hands, that's when the rebate should happen. Avista, in all of their rebate programs, does reserve the right to audit installations as they see fit. But they currently do so many rebate programs that they get to audit maybe 5 or 6% of the projects that they do tops. And that's usually focused on larger ones that they need to confirm very large rebate amounts on. So the likelihood is pretty low, but rebate should happen in this program at time of sale to the contractor. Theoretically, they could also audit whether or not that rebate made it through to the customer, but since that's not a requirement of the program, it's highly unlikely that that would happen. You're more likely to hear from the customer if you don't. You know, if the rebate's not passed through, then you already hear from Avista. So yeah, it's all at time of sale, essentially, is when that's gonna happen.
So we should be letting the end user know that it is possible for some random yahoo to come into their house and do an audit, because a lot of people aren't okay with that, so I think.
Correct, but that would always be arranged ahead of time.
Yeah,
And
but it is possible.
It is possible. Usually, as far as I know, doesn't happen on a lot of residential projects. It's usually on the yeah, it's usually on the commercial projects that the audits will happen. Yeah, so possible, but highly improbable. Highly improbable.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else related to that.
As far as so like right now, everyone can kind of retro all the way back from January 1 up this year?
Yes, actually, also a good question. So we have had the question from several distributors that have lots of equipment stocked from 2022 still, whether or not that equipment is eligible for this program. And the question is yes.
Okay.
Avista will accept rebates on 2022 equipment as long as it is eligible under the current program guidelines.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah. And then as far as claims go, we like to have your claims into the system and processed as soon as possible. 30 to 60 days is great, but there is a leeway pay time, so at the end of the year, we will accept 2023 claims through probably May or June of 2024.
Perfect, okay.
Just because we know how projects and sales can happen. So
Hmm.
there's always a leeway for getting projects in. They will let you know when the absolute end date is. They'll communicate through Iris for you guys, or through Zach or through me, to let you know when the absolute end date is for filing end of year claims.
Sweet, awesome.
What about like pre-buy stuff? Say you buy 20 furnaces, they go in, you don't even know like who the customer is, right? You're just buying them ahead of time. They're gonna be short, they're running out, whatever. So you can't get the rebate yet because you don't even have a customer.
Has to have an address attached to it.
No, it's still
Yes.
doing this.
Yeah, it does have to be attached to a address, service
Right.
address for
So you're
Avista.
gonna have to wait until
I
that's
see,
it's
yeah.
called, right?
Correct.
Cool.
Correct.
Right. Let's try that.
And they do, just as a heads up, there is not a delay, but like for new service addresses, like we just ran into an example here a few weeks ago that was, the new apartment complex that's on the corner of Magnesium and Nevada. And 2 days before, when somebody at Avista had looked, it said, there's no matching address here, there's no meter here. And then it was processed and put into the system, and so it was there. So if you get, new locations, new places where meters are being added, and all of a sudden you see that there isn't an address there, but you know that it's going to be a Vista service, you probably just have to wait a couple of days until it's confirmed in the system. So
Okay.
it takes a few days for the install information from the guy in the field in the Avista truck to get to the computer system at Avista. So have plenty to wait
Anything else?
One of the other, was brought up on the last meeting that, it only qualifies for one system, but if they do, say if they do have exceptions, if they have a big house and might take 2 or 3 systems to contact them, then sometimes they will give you exceptions to get an additional rebate as well.
Yes.
Don't promise them.
Yeah, we have.
Yes.
Right, because if these house, some of these houses are taking 3, 4, 5 systems.
Right.
They could qualify for more, but you have to contact.
And these rebates also do apply, I forgot to mention that as well, for ADUs and DADUs.
Nice.
Smaller multifamily
Not just the primary
duplexes.
residence.
Yes, correct,
Mhm.
yeah. So if you have a, Airbnb or a she shed or a man cave or something, on the back of the
But
property.
it's still only 2 per address, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
yes. It would have to be on a different meter, but it would still be eligible even if the address was the same. So if you have multiple meters per address, each meter would
It
be,
would qualify.
yeah,
for
would
2
qualify,
per
yes. Yeah, I believe that's how they're doing things. So-
I haven't seen anything like this, but I did have a customer ask me, there's no talk as of right now or requirement for, on-demand response. The utility company is not asking for a Wi-Fi thermostat so that they could go in and change the set point, not at this time, right?
Correct. I happen to know from my lighting days that Avista does not yet have the capability to do demand response.
Okay.
Because I worked in controls where they were doing, WSU made a Tri-Cities campus building that was LEED certified, everything, has the capability to do demand response, but the utility there as well does not have the capability to go in and turn the system off.
Yeah.
It's the next thing in controls, that's gonna be the next big thing, but Avista doesn't have that capability yet.
Yeah, we're just in an area where a lot of people have a huge red flag,
Correct, yes. Correct. Yeah, it's not happening yet. It's capable in most of the equipment that's coming out. As far as like, if you're talking about lighting controls, you have to have a fully networked system to do it. So it's capable, but it's not there yet.
Nice.
It's much more common in places like California.
Let's just keep it there.
It definitely does make life a little easier when you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Because it's a pain in the butt when it comes to controls. It's a very expensive option.
Yeah.
That's a $1,000 piece of code in your networked head end.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
These
It's
are
not
all
cheap.
the clips for thermostat.
What happens, is there like a cutoff time for, say a customer doesn't find out about this rebate until 2024, then they find out, hey, I was available to get, or to be able to get it, can they still go back and say, you know, say they had it installed a year ago, but it's still before or after Jan 1? Is there a cutoff time that you didn't have it put in by a certain amount of time?
Not really, because we've come across, as far as I'm aware with Energy Solutions, they've come across stuff that hasn't been filed for a really long time. So as far as I know, if it's within the 2023 calendar year, as long as you file it before whenever the buffer is into 2024, you should be fine. They might look at it and say, you know, hey, why wasn't this put in until now? But as long as it's within the calendar year that's eligible for the program, you should be fine.
2005?
Maybe
That's what I
not.
put mine.
Maybe not.
Only 90%.
Doesn't qualify.
It has to do with the total amount of funding available.
What's that?
That's probably has to do with the amount of funding available too.
Yeah, and with this one, that's not a concern right now so much, only because the program got started so late. I mean,
Yeah.
the lighting program that I'm also working on, which is the new one, we started beginning of April, so this has been very much delayed just because of things that had to be confirmed with Avista and Energy Solutions. So we're not too worried about the funding levels. Really, they just like seeing the savings come through. The lighting program has been incredibly successful, so they are definitely trying to secure as much funding for both programs as possible. Because the lighting program is up to, as of this morning, $3.25 million of rebates paid out and 6.5 million kilowatt hours of annual usage saved.
That's awesome.
And that's just through replacing old crappy light bulbs and
Yeah.
fixtures.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And the rebate, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and the new one, if you do know anyone who's on rate schedule 11 for small businesses, send them to us, because 96% of the projects that we've done so far have been completely paid for. It's no cost to the customer, and that was the biggest barrier to that upgrade for most customers, was the out-of-pocket cost.
Yeah.
Or a lot of, it's Spokane and Coeur d'Alene have a lot of the owner owns the building, doesn't pay the power, tenant doesn't own the building but does pay the power, so neither of them wants to pay for the upgrade. Well, now it's free to you and it's free to everybody, so nobody cares.
awesome.
So it's been incredibly successful so far. I think our initial goal was about 50% of what we're at right now.
Nice.
So
That's
it's,
awesome.
yeah, Avista loves seeing the savings come through. So.
I feel like
We're jacking the prices up.
we're gonna have those year-end bonuses.
That's right.
Come on.
Hey, I don't work directly for Avista, so I don't have to worry about that program. I just have a contractor badge.
You just have the badge.
I just have to put up with everybody's comments about
Yeah.
this stuff.
Right, the low blows.
I've heard worse.
Yeah. I feel like I'm pretty good. Phil, you got any?
So Alan, on the commercial, you had questions we were talking about the other day about the tonnage. Doesn't it start at 5.4 tons and over
Under.
for commercial, or is it
No.
under?
Less than 5.
Less than 5.4? I thought it was over.
That's what these are for. So the larger commercial stuff is right, it's up there, right, that's the other stuff that they have, that they're.
Yeah, I don't have most of the
They're not
details on
putting
that one because I don't handle that part of the program. Energy Solutions does that directly.
More
So
Zach.
actually, Zach can answer those questions for you.
I see.
Under 5.
Larger than that, I can get a hold of it.
Like, we're.
Yeah, Zach, the guy we met down here, super tall.
Right. Which is
Well,
but maybe not so much.
Yeah, commercial, you can drill down a lot into all the different sizes that happen. Stuff that's built specifically for certain buildings, and that's all them. I don't have to deal with that part of things.
Phil, there's a lot of money.
Well, it has to be, well, I guess they're saying they're larger.
Or whatever, you put an intakeless water container, you put water, you do something else.
No, the plumbers are putting on the tankless water heaters.
But furnace wise, were you doing electric there or gas?
So do you have any questions on what
Do you got,
But with heat pumps,
is there, so thermal, I know that they're up and running. Do you know if Keller finally got their Iris portal?
Keller is not up and running yet. We don't even have a signed GPA for them yet.
No way. Okay, because I've been dealing with a couple of their contractors came to me and they're just kind of like, hey, can we get some help for the
Yeah,
time
there's,
being?
there's supposed to be 21 in the business territory that I'm dealing with. There are some that work on a corporate level only that I don't deal with. But right now I'm able to train and talk to 8 of the 21.
Oh, wow.
And Keller's one of the big ones because they have 5 locations and I can't visit it. Because Energy Solutions has to sign them and then do
Yeah,
their
that,
training, and then I come and do training.
yeah, like kind of what we did for
Yeah,
ours and stuff,
exactly.
so, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was dealing with one of their customers yesterday, and I was like, they should be rounding third, I would think, but,
No, they're still at home plate waiting for the pitch.
okay.
And mostly that's due to their legal departments. The ones that take longer to sign up are the guys that are bigger and have bigger legal departments. And
Yeah,
so it takes them much longer to go through all the contract info.
yeah, read through the fine line, you
Yes,
know.
we have 8, should be 12 within the next month and a half or so, depending on how long people take their stuff to do.
So thermal, they're up and running.
Yeah, in fact, there's a list on the website. It's Gensco.
Oh, there is the list on there?
Yeah, there's
Oh,
a list on the
sweet.
website, yeah.
Perfect, I'll just go
Yeah,
there.
of eligible contractors, it's Gensco, Johnstone,
Actually, that's not gonna work.
Glacier, Lennox, M&L, RSD.
Okay,
Yeah, and multiple locations.
yeah.
Places. And then the one that's pending is Ferguson and Oregon.
Hmm. Aren't they the same conglomerate now though? Yeah.
They are, they just still have different business names.
Yeah, which,
And we have to go by,
What's the
we have to go by location,
yeah.
which is why you guys are 3 of my 8 locations.
Yeah.
It just all depends on how many branches you have, because we
Within that.
treat each branch separately as a reporting entity in Salesforce, and that's how we track everything.
Nice, okay. Yeah, if you're fine with it, like, if you're okay with it, maybe we can do this again in like the Coeur d'Alene market.
Absolutely.
Dawn Gardens over there.
Absolutely.
I'm not talking to you.
Anybody that couldn't make it today could have that opportunity.
I know Gary wanted to be here for
Yeah.
this, but,
Absolutely.
so.
Yeah.
No, we, ironically enough, contractor engagement is new to these programs. It's always been at the distributor level, and the distributors have been responsible for that. And they've been trying to do it on the west side for a couple of years. I have had more contractor engagement today than some of my coworkers have had working on the west side program in the last 5 years.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. You think there'd be more participation?
Well, yeah, and it was like they assumed that just because it was going midstream, they just needed to skip the next part of their relationship and not talk to the contractors who are talking to the customers, and everybody at my place of employment went, but why?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? We need to talk to everybody, and so I don't know. But you guys are much more amenable to it, and you're here, and that's a big step forward from what I hear. So.
Well, we
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Yeah, no, we can do this in Clarkson, Coeur d'Alene, wherever you'd like to do it. And I'm more than happy to go visit contractors with your sales teams as well.
Awesome.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Dominic.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Phil. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.